I appreciate the opportunity actually to stand and speak to Bill C-25, an act relating to the pooled pension fund. I guess when we speak to this particular piece of legislation, it's important to recognize who will benefit from this, if they will benefit at all. And sometimes we lose sight of the person on the receiving end of the legislation that we put together. And I'm talking about the seniors in our country, and seniors who are, from time to time, find themselves in very desperate situations. And any suggestion at all of doing something that will be less than helpful to a senior, I think, requires public debate and public discussion. And that's what we do in this House of Commons. So when a member of the government suggests that, members of the opposition are raising questions, are putting doubts in people's minds, are saying the sky is falling when they speak to a particular piece of legislation. Well, in reality, that's what debate is all about. And the only way to formulate sound policy and good legislation is to listen and to learn and to recognize that no one individual and no one party has all the answers. And what we're saying is that when we look at this particular piece of legislation, while it's a tool, it's not the be-all, end-all. And what we're suggesting is that look at other options, work with us, recognize that other parties can make a contribution as well, that we have some sound advice that should be taken into account. I have real problems when we're dealing with issues that impact on seniors, and somehow there isn't the willingness to listen to what others have to say. Take a senior, for instance, whose income is about $13,000 a year. Now, it's very difficult, and I know I have seniors with that income in my riding, as do all of us. We know how difficult it is for them to make ends meet. They need to find ways to put some savings aside. It's very hard for them to do it. So when they scrape and when they save to somehow have a little bit of savings that maybe they can invest, then they need to know that they are going to be the beneficiaries of that investment. And the problem with C-25 is that, by and large, when you're talking about pooled investments, it is the banks who will benefit. The fees, the high fees associated with these pooled investments. And I say to the members of the government, look at what happened in Australia. Why can't we learn from the mistakes that others make instead of going full steam ahead and making the same mistakes? And that's exactly what we're doing here. In fact, we found out that a similar pension system that was implemented in Australia, over their first 12 years, Australia's pooled pension funds posted a disappointing $161 billion in net investment earnings, largely because plan providers scooped up a generous $105 billion in fees. Now, that's money that the seniors didn't avail of, couldn't avail of, because it was used to manage the pooled investment plan. That is not what should be happening. We should be looking at opportunities for seniors that will enable them to live a life of dignity, be able to live in comfort to the extent that it is possible, given their income anyway. OAS is not a lot of money. And I have to refer to a quote from a York University professor, actually, who said, he's a political scientist, he said, the OAS isn't really a lot of money. The OAS isn't going to cause the federal budget to crash. End of quote. And that was Thomas Klassen. So we need to recognize the importance of providing for our seniors. And when I heard the Prime Minister speaking in Davos and suggesting that what we need to do is look at raising the age from 65 to 67 to be in receipt of OAS, I'm wondering where the Prime Minister is coming from. He's not obviously speaking to the same constituents that I deal with on a daily basis, people who are looking forward to being able to access not a lot of money, but at least a secure income. Because right now, a lot of people, seniors, do not have a secure income. When the Prime Minister chooses to go to Switzerland and make those remarks, doesn't have the courtesy of announcing what he's thinking about in Canada, where the individuals are going to be impacted live, then I have a real problem with anything that he's proposing with respect to seniors. Is it any wonder that we question this particular piece of legislation? Okay, it's a tool. And we need to make sure that our seniors have access to as many opportunities as possible. And that is just one of them. But whatever you do, don't close your mind to other possibilities. Work with other parties. Recognize that what the Liberal Party is proposing in terms of a voluntary plan where seniors can, with those savings, if they have any at all, be able to invest on a voluntary basis and be able to realize from that investment, instead of having the banks and the other institutions who are going to be responsible for the pooled management plan taking these exorbitant fees and benefiting from the meager income of our seniors. We should never lose sight of what it means to a senior to have to exist from day to day on a limited income. We're seeing food banks grow. We're seeing many more food banks becoming established, and we're seeing seniors availing of those food banks. It should never happen. We have so many Canadians, so many, who don't even have a pension plan, a private pension plan that they can avail of. They have nothing to fall back on but OAS. And any suggestion at all of raising that age from 65 to 67 does not even warrant consideration when you consider that there are people right now, people who are 60 years old, people between the ages of 60 and 65, who really are looking forward to receiving their old age pension. It is a security tool for them. It is one that they need, they desperately need, and to try and take it away from them, they must be thinking today in this country, how are we going to survive? What the Prime Minister and this government has done is manufactured a crisis where no crisis exists.
Exactly.
And that is exactly what Thomas Classen has said. This is not a lot of money. The OAS, what we're talking about here, is not a lot of money. It's not going to break the bank. So if you want to save money, if you need to deal with the deficit that you've created, then look in the Prime Minister's office, where we've seen an incredible increase, a 30% increase in expenditures. Why would we be increasing the number of MPs in the House of Commons? Why would we be building mega prisons when everything is pointing to the fact that crime is on the decline? Why can't we not learn from the example in the U.S.? Again, learn from their mistake. They built mega prisons, and today they're saying it was the wrong thing to do. Yet this government is going full steam ahead to do just that. There are examples. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to try something. If it hasn't worked elsewhere, let's learn from that. So if the pooled pension plan didn't work in Australia, if the mega prison system didn't work in the U.S.,